At 11:42 p.m., a local radio station stopped following time. Not suddenly, not violently, not in a way that caused alarms to sound or phones to ring. The music ended. The host remained on air, and something that was designed to shut down quietly, automatically, without human involvement, didn't. No emergency signal was sent, no override was triggered, no one intervened. Because nothing sounded broken. It sounded unfinished, as if a sentence had been left without a period, and the world had decided not to correct it. What makes this broadcast unsettling is not fear. There is no panic in the voice, no screaming, no moment where the man speaking into the microphone realizes something terrible has happened. What makes it difficult to listen to is the calm acceptance of something slowly slipping out of alignment, and the quiet certainty that the person speaking is the only one who can feel it happening. The station was called WKRZ, an AM frequency most people could not remember unless they were already searching for it. It served a rural stretch of land that existed more as distance than destination, long roads, wide fields, houses set far enough apart that their lights never overlapped. The kind of place where radios were left on late into the night, not for entertainment, but because silence felt too large when it settled in. WKRZ filled that space. Old country records, weather updates repeated every hour, church announcements read slowly on Sunday mornings, high school sports scores delivered without enthusiasm. It was a station that existed to be ignored, to fade into routine, to become part of the background so completely that no one could remember when it first became familiar. Which is why what happened there was allowed to disappear almost entirely. The final broadcast was hosted by a man named Daniel Harper. Daniel had worked at WKRZ for 12 years, long enough to outlast management changes, equipment upgrades, and budget cuts. He never missed a shift, never improvised, never filled silence unless he was scheduled to. Listeners described his voice as steady, unremarkable, faintly reassuring. He spoke like someone who did not expect to be listened to closely, and therefore never was. That night, Daniel was alone in the building, as he always was during the late shift. One microphone, one desk worn smooth by years of use, one clock mounted slightly crooked on the wall, ticking just loud enough to be noticed when nothing else was happening. The transmitter was set, as always, to shut itself off automatically at midnight. At 11:39 p.m., Daniel introduces the final song of the night. His voice is normal in every way. He names the artist, mentions the year it was released, and says nothing unnecessary. The song begins and plays for exactly 3 minutes and 12 seconds. When it ends, Daniel does not speak. At first, it sounds like a delay, then like a missed cue, but the broadcast does not cut to static. There is no dead air tone. The microphone remains open, and the room begins to make itself heard. A faint electrical hum, the soft movement of air through vents, the low, continuous sound of equipment waiting to be used again. After 47 seconds, Daniel speaks. I think I'm still on. A pause, long enough to feel deliberate. That's not right. He does not sound afraid. He does not rush. His voice carries the mild confusion of someone who has noticed something out of place, but does not yet believe it matters. He glances at the clock. It says it's almost midnight. He says slowly, but it feels earlier than that. A quiet laugh follows, the kind people use when they expect the moment to correct itself. I don't remember this part of the night. Nothing changes. Daniel stands. The chair shifts. Footsteps move across the room, measured, unhurried. He is not searching. He is checking, as if something has failed to arrive on schedule. There's no one here, he says. I thought there was supposed to be. The footsteps stop. That's strange. Years later, when engineers listened back to the tapes, they noticed something that made them replay this section repeatedly. The station's internal logs show no movement. The pressure sensor in Daniel's chair never changed. According to the equipment, he never stood up. And yet the sound of footsteps is unmistakable. Someone crossed the room. Daniel returns to the microphone. His voice is closer now, more careful, as if the air around it has changed. If anyone's listening, he says, the signal doesn't feel right. He waits. No response comes. It's reaching somewhere else. The station phone remains silent. No incoming calls, no outgoing transmissions, no indication that anyone else is aware. At 11:52 p.m., Daniel stops speaking entirely. For nearly 2 minutes, The broadcast contains only the sound of the room, no music, no static, just presence. The silence does not feel empty, it feels occupied, as if something has leaned closer, waiting to be acknowledged. At 11:54 p.m., Daniel whispers, "They're not answering." Later investigations confirm there were no calls, no signals, no reason for that sentence to exist. Paper shifts near the microphone. Daniel is reading. "This isn't today's schedule," he says quietly. "This one's older." A page turns. "This is from before I started working here." The station kept decades of archived logs, written by people long retired or long dead. Daniel had never accessed them before. There was no reason to. The clock continues ticking. At 11:57 p.m., Daniel speaks again. "I already said this once." The pause that follows is heavy. I remember saying it. Midnight arrives. The transmitter does not shut off. At 12:03 a.m., Daniel's voice returns. Lower now, closer, almost cautious, as if he is aware of being overheard. "If this plays again," he says, "I won't know I'm doing it." What follows is not music, not speech, not static. It is a sound engineers later describe as resonance without origin, like feedback echoing inside a space too large to exist. It lasts exactly 30 seconds and stops. At 12:04 a.m., the broadcast ends. No sign-off, no closing music, no explanation, just absence. Daniel Harper never returns home. His car remains in the parking lot. His wallet sits on the desk. The microphone is still warm when the manager arrives the next morning. There are no signs of a struggle, nothing missing, nothing disturbed. The broadcast does not exist in the station's official records. It survives only because 3 listeners, by chance, recorded the Late Night program on cassette. Each tape is slightly different, different pauses, different timing. One contains a sentence the others do not. I can hear the room listening back. Experts find no editing, no interference, no external signal. The audio exists. The source does not. WKRZ shuts down years later. The building is demolished, the call sign retired, the frequency left unused. But in 2012, a radio hobbyist scanning old AM bands late at night hears something faint, on the same frequency at the same time. A voice says calmly, "This is WKRZ. We'll be with you shortly." The call sign had not been used in 16 years. Daniel Harper was never found. The case was quietly closed. No answers, no conclusions, just a space where a voice once existed. If you are listening late at night and your radio pauses longer than it should, do not assume it is broken. Sometimes silence is not an ending. Sometimes it is a pause, waiting for someone to notice it. This was one of the files from the Silent Archive.